Heaven has paused for you in this exact second. Nothing in this moment is coincidence. This is divine appointment. The sound of traffic in your mind, the weight of worry on your chest, the questions you have carried like stones in your pockets, all of it is being interrupted right now. God has leaned in, silencing everything else, so his voice can be heard over the noise. You know the ache that lingers in your body. You know the nights where sleep feels like a stranger. You know the mornings when rising feels like lifting iron. And you have wondered, has anyone noticed? Has heaven seen? The truth is this: every sigh, every tear, every groan of your soul has been counted. Nothing has been wasted. Heaven does not overlook you. Picture a mighty orchestra in heaven. Trumpets, harps, choirs of angels fill the air. Suddenly, the conductor raises his hand, and the entire sound freezes on a single breath. Silence falls in glory. Why? Because the Father has turned his face to you. That silence is not emptiness, it is attention. All of heaven waits, because God has something to declare over your life. You will not stay in this pain. You will not remain broken. You are chosen to receive healing. Think of a single candle flickering in a dark hall. Darkness surrounds, pressing in, but the flame refuses to bow. That candle is you, and God is breathing gently, not to extinguish you, but to enlarge your flame until the darkness cannot remain. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 27, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives." Peace is not a soft word. It is a weapon. It is the clearing of the battlefield, so repair can happen. Peace lowers the fists of anxiety, stills the storm of fear, and creates room for your body to be restored. The kind of peace Jesus gives is not temporary relief, it is permanent reordering. I once knew of a chosen one who spent years in silence. Their body fought sickness. Their heart carried rejection. Their prayers seemed unanswered. Every day they wrote one small line, sometimes hope, sometimes grief, sometimes just one word, waiting. To anyone else, it looked meaningless. But when their hour of visitation came, those years of writing became like seeds bursting into harvest. Healing came suddenly, but the foundation had been built quietly. Friend, the same quiet foundation has been laid in your life. Your waiting has not been wasted. Do not listen to shame's voice. Shame says, "You're too late. You're too weak. You're too unworthy." But heaven's pause is a contradiction to shame. The scars you carry are not signs of defeat, they are signs of survival. They are proof that you are still here. And if you are still here, then God is not finished with you. Now, lean into this moment. Place your hand where the pain lingers most, whether in your body, your mind, or your heart. Whisper this simple sentence: "I receive." That whisper is not powerless, it is agreement. It opens the gate for heaven's pause to touch earth in your life. If you feel this word belongs to you, let your declaration be visible. Comment the number 77 below as your sign of agreement with heaven's timing. It is not ritual. It is testimony. It is your way of saying, "I hear you, Lord, and I receive." End of quote. And if this message has stirred something inside you, like, share, and subscribe. Not for numbers, but so this pause can reach others who are waiting for their own breakthrough. You could be the reason someone else encounters the silence of heaven breaking into their pain. So, breathe. Let this moment wash over you. Something has shifted. The clock of heaven has stopped for you, and healing has begun its countdown. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are chosen. So hold fast. Even if you feel the change is only a whisper, whispers grow into songs, and songs awaken nations. This pause is not the end. It is the doorway to the life you have been waiting for. Step through it, boldly, knowing that heaven's eyes are locked on you. Lift your head. Chosen one. The weight you carried has already begun to loosen. A shift is happening in silence, but its echo will soon roar across every part of your life. Healing is not coming. It has arrived. And now, let your response be more than private. Share this word so others can encounter it. Let your yes in the comments be a light to those still in darkness. Heaven has paused, and history is shifting because of it. Your pain is not invisible. It may have felt that way, buried under polite smiles, hidden behind routines, dismissed when you tried to explain it. You have lived through days when words were not enough to carry what you felt. So you held the silence instead. Yet silence does not mean unseen. Heaven has kept a record. The Father has traced every tear on your face as carefully as an artist studies each stroke on a canvas. Nothing you endured has been overlooked. Pain can be a strange companion. It arrives uninvited, lingers longer than expected, and refuses to leave quietly. Some of your pain has lived not only in your body, but in your memories, in the weight of losses you never fully voiced. You may have heard the words, "Time heals all wounds." Yet time alone cannot restore what has been stolen. The God who exists beyond time is the one who heals, because he holds both the moment of the wound and the moment of your restoration in his hands at once. Think of a single tear falling into an ocean. To the human eye, it vanishes instantly, absorbed by endless waves. But to God, that tear is distinct, set apart, and remembered. He sees not only that it fell, but why it fell. And he answers with compassion. Nothing disappears in him. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle." This is not poetic exaggeration. It is a declaration that the deepest aches of your life have never dissolved into nothing. They have been preserved in heaven's archives. And each one waits for the day when God turns mourning into dancing. That day begins when you realize your pain is seen. Your story is not wasted, and your body is not abandoned. There was once a chosen one who walked through years of waiting for an answer. Doctors offered little hope. Friends withdrew when the struggle stretched too long, and nights stretched endlessly into mornings that felt heavier than the ones before. They began to believe the lie that their pain was invisible, that heaven had turned away. Yet on the other side of their long wait, they learned the truth. Their pain had not been unseen, it had been stored, multiplied into seeds of testimony that would later feed others. When healing finally arrived, it was not only for them, but for every ear that heard their story and found hope again. Your own journey mirrors this. Every unseen tear, every unnoticed groan, every moment you whispered, "Does anyone care?" All of it has been gathered, pain often tries to convince you that invisibility equals insignificance. But in the kingdom of God, invisibility is often the place where treasures are formed. Just as gems are created in darkness beneath the earth, your hidden suffering is shaping a testimony that will shine far brighter than the shadows ever did. Consider a hidden seed buried in soil for weeks, maybe months. No eye sees it struggle. Beneath the ground, roots are pushing, the shell is breaking, and life is forming from above. It looks like nothing is happening, yet the seed's invisible labor is the most critical stage of its growth. One day it pierces the surface, and the world marvels at what appears sudden. But heaven knew all along what was taking place beneath the soil. Your pain has been that seed. It is not meaningless. It is forming something that will one day break through for all to see. This matters, because once you see that your pain is not invisible, you stop despising it. While God does not author pain, He refuses to waste it. He redeems it, turning what was meant to crush you into the very proof of His nearness. You may still feel tension in your body or heaviness in your spirit. But remember, healing often begins invisibly. The shift takes place in realms the natural eye cannot see before it manifests in the flesh. Just as a sunrise begins long before the first light appears over the horizon, your restoration has already been set in motion. Lift your perspective. Imagine the hands of God as a craftsman restoring an ancient piece of art. Layers of dust cover the surface. Cracks run across the paint. To the untrained eye, it may look ruined beyond repair. Yet the craftsman sees the masterpiece hidden beneath the damage. Patiently, carefully, he cleans, mends, and restores. That is what He is doing with you. Every mark of pain becomes an opportunity for His glory to be revealed. So let this truth anchor you. Your pain has never been ignored. Heaven has seen it, recorded it, and responded with compassion. Healing is not only possible, it is promised. And the very invisibility that once made you feel forgotten is proof that something deeper is being prepared for your unveiling. You have carried more than most. This is not flattery, it is recognition of reality. The weight you've held in your hands would have broken others, yet you are still standing. There were times you did not know if your legs would hold, if your heart could bear another hit, or if your spirit would make it through another storm. But you kept walking, sometimes limping, sometimes crawling, but always moving forward. Why? Because you were never meant to be ordinary. Ordinary paths are smooth. Ordinary lives avoid resistance. But chosen lives walk through fire. And chosen lives carry burdens that shape their destiny. You have endured more not because you are weak, but because heaven trusted you with strength that even you did not recognize. Think of a bow and arrow. The arrow is drawn back, stretched to its limit, tension rising until it almost seems it will snap. Yet the further it is drawn, the greater the force when it is released. Your life has felt that pull, that stretching. Every setback, every delay, every disappointment has been the pull of the string. It has not been punishment, it has been preparation for the launch. According to what is revealed in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him." No, your perseverance is not wasted. The crown of life is not only about eternity, it is also about authority here and now. Authority to walk in healing, Authority to declare life over yourself and others. Authority to stand in the middle of storms and not be shaken. A chosen one once shared their journey of loss. Every friend seemed to prosper while they lagged behind. Each prayer felt delayed. They confessed. They almost gave up entirely, ready to stop believing, stop asking, stop expecting. But when the appointed season arrived, what took others years to gain was delivered to them in a single moment. What felt like unfair delay was revealed as compressed preparation. Their story carries a whisper for you. Do not misinterpret your stretching as abandonment. It is the sign of trust. And now, I need you to interact with this truth. Type these words in the comments. No step back. End quote. Why? Because your voice matters. Writing it is not superstition, it is a witness. You are marking your agreement with heaven in a visible way. You are declaring that your burdens are not wasted, that your trials are not the end, and that your crown is already prepared. When others see those words, they may be reminded that they too can choose strength. And your declaration may be the seed of someone else's perseverance. Look back for a moment. How many seasons did you think you wouldn't survive? Yet you survived them. You came out breathing, still standing, maybe scarred, but unbroken. That is evidence enough that what comes next will not defeat you. The image of gold refined in fire is often repeated, but consider another, a diamond. It begins as carbon, hidden in the earth, pressed under unimaginable weight and pressure. The process does not destroy it, it transforms it. The very crushing that could seem unbearable is what makes it radiant. You, too, have lived under crushing pressure, but the weight has been forming brilliance in you. So hold fast. This season is not your conclusion, it is your formation. You are carrying proof that your life is divinely appointed. You may have carried more than most, but you will also shine more than most. That is the exchange of heaven, endurance into glory, pressure into promise, waiting into testimony. And when the release comes, and it will, you will look back on the weight you bore and understand it as the reason you now walk in strength that cannot be taken from you. So understand this, nothing you carried was in vain. The sleepless nights, the unanswered questions, the silent tears, all of them have been shaping the foundation of the strength you now stand on. What seemed like punishment was actually preparation, and what felt like delay was hidden design. When heaven allows the stretching, it is because heaven trusts the release will be worth it. Your capacity has grown, your roots have gone deeper, and when the arrow finally launches, no power of darkness will be able to stop its flight. This is why you must hold your ground. Your season of release is closer than you realize. The light in you terrifies darkness. This truth might surprise you, because you have often felt small, weak, or insignificant. Yet what you feel and what is true are not the same. Darkness has studied you since birth. It knows that even when you doubt yourself, even when your hands shake and your voice trembles, you carry something it cannot extinguish. That is why the battles have felt relentless. It was never just about your health, your finances, or your relationships. It has always been about the light you carry. Light is not silent. Even when you do not speak, your very presence disrupts shadows. A candle placed in a room filled with night does not need to shout to make a difference. It simply shines. Darkness scatters because it cannot remain where light stands. The same is true with you. You may underestimate yourself, but the enemy does not. That is why you have been targeted. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. 1. Notice those words, arise and shine. They are commands, not suggestions. Light is not passive, it is active. To arise is to refuse to remain pressed down. To shine is to release what God has already placed inside you. The moment you begin to live this truth, atmospheres shift. Consider how light behaves in nature. The tiniest crack in a wall can let the morning sun pour through. A single star in the sky is visible across vast distances. In the same way, what feels like a small spark within you has far-reaching impact. Even your quiet prayers, whispered in loneliness, radiate further than you realize. The enemy knows this, which is why he has tried to keep you convinced that you are powerless. But the testimony of your life proves otherwise. Think back to moments when you simply walked into a room and tension began to ease. Think of conversations where your words gave peace you didn't even know you were giving. Remember how people came to you for comfort without you advertising yourself as a healer or encourager. Those were not coincidences. That was your light at work. There is a story of a chosen one who lived unnoticed for years. They felt invisible, ignored by the crowd, overlooked by those in power. Yet when they finally stepped into their purpose, the same people who dismissed them were drawn by an undeniable presence. What changed? Not their outward appearance, but the decision to allow their inner light to shine without apology. That decision became a magnet for destiny. Your journey carries the same potential. The trials that tried to smother you were actually shaping a flame that burns brighter. The tears that fell have become oil for your lamp. What once felt like weakness has become the very thing that will illuminate paths for others. Think of fireflies on a summer night, alone. One flicker might seem fragile, but when hundreds glow together, the darkness of the field transforms into wonder. Your individual light matters, yet when joined with others who also carry the presence of God, the collective brilliance is unstoppable. This is why community matters. Darkness thrives in isolation, but flees when light gathers. Do not confuse humility with hiding. Humility is knowing the source of your light, God Himself. Hiding is pretending you carry nothing at all. You were never called to shrink. You were called to shine. And in doing so, you reveal the one who placed the light within you. This shining does not mean perfection. Light does not eliminate every shadow instantly. Sometimes it is gradual, like dawn, pushing back the night hour by hour. Other times it is sudden, like a lightning strike illuminating the sky in an instant. Either way, light always wins. Darkness cannot argue with it. So let this truth settle deep. The battles you faced were never proof of weakness but confirmation of light. The enemy does not fight what does not threaten him. You have been opposed because you are dangerous to darkness. And if your light terrified shadows even when hidden, imagine what will happen when you rise fully into who you are. Your life is a lampstand, set not under a basket, but on high ground where others can see. You are not called to blend into the night, but to pierce it. Every time you choose hope over despair, forgiveness over bitterness, faith over fear, you shine. And with each choice, the grip of darkness around you weakens further. Therefore, step with courage. The light within you is not fragile, it is divine. It is not fading, it is growing. And no matter how loud the night may seem, it cannot outlast the dawn that you carry. The clock of mercy ticks. You stand inside a window of time that is sacred. A moment when heaven leans close and says, "This is your hour." Mercy is not endless delay. It is opportunity offered again and again until the appointed season arrives. That season is here. The hand of God moves with precision, and you are being invited to walk through a door that will not always remain open. Think of a sunrise. It does not rush, yet it does not wait forever. The sky slowly changes. Darkness retreats. And then a moment comes when the sun fully breaks the horizon. If you turn away too long, you miss it. Mercy works in the same rhythm. It has waited. It has lingered. But now it calls you to notice. The clock of heaven says, "This is your healing hour." The prophet Hosea spoke of such moments. In chapter 10, verse 12, it is written, "Sow righteousness for yourselves, reap the fruit of unfailing love, and break up your unplowed ground, for it is time to seek the Lord, until he comes and showers his righteousness on you." It is time, not next year, not when life feels more stable, not when fear grows quiet. Now, you are being showered with a rain that will not be delayed. Every hidden place in your body and soul is being refreshed by the timing of heaven. Let me tell you a story. A chosen one once lived through long years of silence. They prayed for healing, prayed for release, but it felt like heaven was locked. Yet when their hour came, it was like the sudden tolling of a great bell. What had been closed swung open. What had been delayed was accelerated. They described it like standing on a railway platform, waiting endlessly, and suddenly hearing the roar of the train as it pulled in. In an instant, they knew it was their moment to step aboard. That same moment is now before you. But as this message comes to you, I want to speak with transparency. What you are hearing is not entertainment, not background noise. It is poured out oil. Words crafted with prayer and intention to reach your spirit. And if it has touched you, if you have felt hope stir, if you have sensed light breaking through, then I humbly ask you to respond in a few ways. First, like and share this message. It may seem small, like a pebble dropped into still water, but the ripples stretch far beyond sight. Your one action could carry light into the heart of someone standing on the edge of despair. Second, subscribe. Think of it as planting yourself beneath a steady waterfall. Each drop is a word in season, and subscribing simply keeps you standing where the streams of encouragement never run dry. And third, donation. Hear this with peace. Blessing is free. Healing is free. Mercy is free. But donation is like adding oil into a lighthouse lamp. The beam does not only guide your ship, it guides countless, others lost in stormy seas. Your gift is not payment. It is oil keeping the fire burning for the next traveler who needs to find safe shore. Think of it another way. Farmers plant seeds not only for their own harvest, but so the field continues to yield long after. Your giving is a seed. It ensures that the field of encouragement, healing, and prophetic voice remains alive for many more who will stumble across it in their darkest night. If you feel led, give with joy, not with pressure. Give because you have tasted the water and want the well to remain for the next thirsty traveler. Give because generosity is an echo of the Father's own heart, and every gift carries his fragrance. But let there be no misunderstanding, whether you donate or not. The word of healing belongs to you. It is already yours. Mercy has paused, time for your body and soul to receive. Donation is not a price tag. It is simply an invitation for those who feel stirred to join in the work of keeping this lamp burning. As the clock of mercy ticks, feel the nearness of God in your own body right now. Imagine gears in a great heavenly clock, turning, precise and steady. And in this very moment, the chime rings. That sound declares, healing begins. It does not delay another day. It does not wait for the right circumstance. It begins now. So breathe. Notice the shift already happening. The heaviness loosens. The anxiety quiets. The pain that claimed to be permanent is being told, your time is over. Mercy's clock strikes, and your life answers. This moment is holy. Cherish it. Walk into it fully. You are standing under a shower of grace that cannot be stopped. 5 minutes of transformation. That is what heaven whispers over you now. Not tomorrow. Not years down the line now. You may not feel ready. You may even doubt it is possible. But readiness was never the condition for miracles. Surrender is. All God requires is your willingness to receive. Think of a seed. It may look small, lifeless even, resting in the palm of your hand. Yet when it is placed in soil, the transformation begins. The seed doesn't wait for perfect weather or the best soil. It begins where it is planted. In the same way, your healing begins where you are right now. Transformation in 5 minutes may sound sudden, but remember, God is not bound by time. For him, one day can be like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like one day. What feels impossible in human calendars is already settled in divine timing. The countdown has already begun inside you. As the Apostle reminds us in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 16, though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. Renewal is already flowing through your spirit. Your body is catching up to what your soul has already received. There was once a chosen one who endured constant illness. Doctors spoke of limitations. Friends stopped checking in. And even their own heart whispered that it might never change. Yet one ordinary afternoon, during a prayer that seemed no different than the hundreds before, something shifted. The pain that had been their companion for years began to lift. They later described it as though a heavy garment had fallen off their shoulders in a single moment. What seemed sudden was actually the fruit of years of unseen preparation. That is what is happening to you. What feels sudden is actually the culmination of every prayer, every tear, every moment you chose to keep believing, even when hope seemed faint. Your body and spirit are stepping into alignment with the promise spoken over you long ago. Imagine standing at the edge of a river. For years, you've seen only dry ground. The riverbed seemed empty, but suddenly, the gates upstream open. Water rushes forth, filling the channels, bringing life to barren land. That is what divine transformation feels like. And here is the mystery. 5 minutes with God can undo years of pain. 5 minutes of His presence can repair what decades of struggle tried to destroy. 5 minutes of surrender can unlock doors you thought would remain closed forever. But do not measure your miracle by dramatic signs alone. Sometimes transformation begins subtly. Maybe the pain lessens. Maybe peace steadies your heart. Maybe clarity sharpens your mind. Small shifts are no less miraculous than sudden breakthroughs. A sunrise is no less powerful than a lightning strike. Now, I want you to mark this moment. Take a simple step of agreement. Comment the number 1212 below. Let it be your prophetic sign of alignment with this 5-minute transformation. Your comment becomes a declaration. I agree. I receive. I believe this is my moment. End of 4. Why 1212? Because it represents divine order, doubled. A picture of God's perfect alignment flowing into every area of your life. 12 tribes, 12 gates, 12 foundations, symbols of completeness and heavenly government. When you declare 1212, you are testifying that your body, mind, and spirit are entering divine balance, ruled not by chaos, but by God's design. Healing is not only about what leaves your body, but what enters it. Peace enters, joy enters, strength enters, and as these flow in, sickness, heaviness, and despair must flow out. When God fills, darkness has no choice but to flee. Think of transformation like a cocoon. The caterpillar disappears, hidden away, seemingly motionless. Yet inside, cells rearrange, wings form, and a creature of flight emerges. That moment of bursting forth does not take weeks, it takes minutes. All the preparation culminates in a sudden release. Your 5 minutes are not about limitation, but about focus. In these moments, heaven concentrates its attention, and miracles ignite. The atmosphere shifts. Your body feels lighter. Your spirit grows calmer. The transformation may feel like a spark or like a flood, but either way, it has begun. Do not doubt the subtle signs. When peace wraps around you, that is healing. When tears fall with relief, that is healing. When laughter unexpectedly rises in your chest, that too is healing. The Spirit heals in ways deeper than human explanation. So breathe slowly. Feel the countdown continuing. 5 minutes may be a window, but its effects will echo long after the clock has turned. What begins now will continue to unfold in the days ahead. You are not forgotten. You are being transformed. Right now, in this very moment, chains of affliction break. The invisible bonds that once wrapped themselves around your body and mind are loosening even now. Some chains are heavy and obvious illness, fatigue, anxiety, pressing hard against your chest. Others are subtle, like whispers of fear, hidden bitterness, or a hopelessness that tries to convince you nothing will ever change. Yet, whether heavy or subtle, they are the same, lies dressed as shackles. And when the voice of God speaks, no chain can remain. Chains do not only bind the body, they bind perspective. They make you believe that what has been will always be, that patterns cannot be broken, that suffering is permanent. That is the cruelest deception of bondage. It convinces you to accept it as identity, but you are not your pain. You are not your sickness. You are not your failures. You are chosen. And chosen ones do not remain bound. The Book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 13 declares, "Now I will break their yoke from your neck and tear your shackles away." Oh, the yoke is heavy, but God's promise is heavier. The shackles may have clung for years, but His hand tears them in a moment. What pursued you yesterday does not define your tomorrow. Picture an iron shackle heated in fire. At first glance, the metal seems unbreakable, forged too strong to ever open. Yet when fire touches it, the iron weakens, cracks form, and suddenly what seemed indestructible falls to the ground. The fire of God's presence is that heat. Every chain that has wrapped around you is meeting that fire. Consider the story of a chosen one who lived with constant fear. Their body was healthy, but their mind was chained. Anxiety dictated their steps, shrinking their world smaller and smaller until they could barely leave home. They thought, "This is who I am now." But one evening, during quiet prayer, they felt something shift. The fear that once filled every corner of their chest suddenly lost its grip. It was not that circumstances changed instantly, but the chain of fear broke inside them. From that moment forward, they began to walk freer, breathe deeper, and live wider. Chains break first, in the unseen, and then the visible life catches up. Some of your chains are generational. They did not begin with you. They were handed down. Cycles of illness, patterns of despair, stories of failure repeated again and again. You may have wondered, am I cursed to live what my parents lived? The answer is no. Generational chains may explain the battle, but they do not dictate the outcome. In you, the line breaks. Think of a thick rope wound tightly around a pole. Over years, it weathers, frays, and weakens. All it takes is a single, decisive cut, and the rope unravels in an instant. Heaven's blade has already struck your chains. What held your family for decades is ending in you. You will not pass it on. Chains are not only broken by force, but also by light. Imagine walking through a dark cave with shackles at your feet. You stumble because you cannot see, but when light floods the space, you notice the chain was never even locked. It was fear that kept you from trying to step free. Light exposed leads, and in that exposure, freedom comes. So, as chains fall from you now, notice what it feels like. The weight lifts, the heaviness eases, your breath comes easier, your steps feel lighter. That is freedom beginning to show itself. It does not always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it is as simple as realizing, I am not bound anymore. Do not underestimate the power of this moment. The chain that breaks may be the very thing that once convinced you that freedom was impossible, and when it falls, it testifies not only to you, but to everyone who sees your life. They will say, if they were set free, maybe I can be too. Your breakthrough becomes a beacon for others still bound. So, walk forward. Chains are falling behind you, not following you. What once clung to your ankles has no claim on your steps anymore. Your path is being cleared. Your body is being lightened. Your spirit is being freed. The sound of chains breaking is the soundtrack of your new season. So take each step with courage. Where chains once rattled, silence now speaks. That silence is not emptiness. It is freedom breathing into your lungs, announcing that your journey has shifted. You are no longer dragging what tried to claim you. And as you move forward, remember this: freedom is contagious. The lightness you carry will ripple outward, touching others who still believe their shackles are permanent. By walking free, you become a living testimony that God still breaks chains today. Divine, fire touche flesh. The Spirit of God is not distant, not abstract, but near closer than the breath in your lungs. His presence does not only whisper to the soul, but also moves through the body, bringing restoration in ways that medicine cannot fully explain. When divine fire falls, it does not consume you, it heals you. Fire in Scripture often represents God's purifying presence. It burns away what does not belong, while leaving what is true and holy. Think of gold placed into a furnace. Heat rises, impurities melt, and what emerges is stronger, more radiant. Your body is experiencing this same refining touch. The fire is not here to destroy, but to restore. The Word of God declares in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 2, "For he will be like a refiner's fire or a launderer's soap." Indeed, this image is striking. A refiner's fire is controlled, precise, intentional. It burns with purpose, just as a skilled craftsman knows exactly how long to keep gold in the furnace. God knows how to touch you without overwhelming you. His fire removes the residue of pain and releases the strength hidden beneath. Imagine the fire of the Spirit moving through your bloodstream. Every cell is visited. Every joint receives warmth. Nerves that once carried pain are soothed. Muscles long tense begin to relax. This is not imagination. It is the unseen work of a presence greater than science can measure. The same Spirit who breathed life into dust is breathing into you again. A chosen one once shared their story of sickness. Years of treatments left them weary, and they began to expect nothing new. But in one quiet gathering, while praying in surrender, they felt a heat rise through their chest, radiating out into their arms. They thought it was strange, perhaps even alarming, but later realized it was the touch of divine fire. From that night on, their body began to recover in ways no one expected. Doctors called it remarkable, but they knew it was more than medicine. It was mercy and fire. Fire also symbolizes passion. When the Spirit touches flesh, it not only heals, but awakens. The same fire that repairs your body ignites your spirit with fresh hunger, fresh courage, fresh joy. Suddenly you find yourself eager again, eager to live, to love, to believe. Despair cannot survive in fire, because fire transforms what it touches. Think of dry wood in a fireplace. Cold, brittle, lifeless. When flame catches it, warmth spreads through the room. Comfort fills the air, and light dances in the darkness. You are that wood. Where parts of you once felt brittle and lifeless, the Spirit's fire is catching hold, spreading life and warmth. This fire is also protective. Picture a wildfire sweeping across a plain, leaving nothing for enemies to stand upon. In the same way, when the Spirit fills you, every dark force attempting to cling to you finds no place to remain. The fire cleanses not only your body, but the atmosphere around you. Some may expect fire to be loud, dramatic, uncontrollable, but divine fire is often gentle. It may come as a steady warmth, a quiet glow that begins small but grows. Do not dismiss it if it does not feel overwhelming. Even embers carry the power to light entire forests when fanned by the breath of God. This moment is not just about physical restoration, it is about identity. When fire touches flesh, It marks you. You become a carrier of warmth to others. People will sense something different when they are near you. Peace, comfort, and a strength they cannot explain. That is the lingering effect of fire. It leaves traces long after the flame has passed. And so, feel the Spirit's fire moving even now. It is not distant, but intimate. It knows exactly where to go into hidden wounds. Unspoken grief. Si l'empin. It reaches corners of your being you thought were locked away forever. Nothing is off limits to this fire. Let the image sink deep, your body as a lamp, and the fire of God as the flame. Once ignited, the lamp does not only burn for itself, but for all around. You are becoming that lamp, lit not by human effort, but by divine touch. As this fire continues its work, trust the process. Trust that what feels like heat is actually healing. Trust that what feels like change is really restoration. You are not being consumed, you are being renewed. The fire is proof that God has not left you cold or lifeless. He is here, alive, burning gently through you, leaving you whole. Heaven confirms your healing. What God begins, He also completes. You are not left wondering whether this shift in your body is imagination, or whether the peace rising in you will vanish. The evidence of heaven's touch is real, and the confirmation comes both in the unseen and the seen. Think of a courtroom where a verdict is delivered. For years, a case may drag on, arguments flying back and forth. But when the judge speaks, everything is settled. No further dispute can override that final word. Your life has been in that courtroom pain, making its case, despair presenting its evidence. But heaven has spoken the final decree: healed, restored, renewed. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse 17, declares, "But I will restore you to health and heal your wounds, declares the Lord." That is heaven's confirmation, not a suggestion, not a wish, but a declaration. A judge does not hope, he rules. God does not merely hope you will recover, he declares it, and his word becomes reality. Look for the signs, for they often begin small. Perhaps the pain that once dictated every step is now less. Perhaps energy is returning in moments you thought would remain exhausted. Perhaps laughter comes more freely where heaviness once sat. These are not random, they are confirmations. A chosen one once described their healing as drops of rain. At first, only a few, barely noticeable. Then the drops grew steady. Finally, a downpour came, and the dry ground of their life was flooded with new strength. Healing began as hints, but heaven confirmed it fully. The same pattern may be yours. Think of a tree after winter. At first, the branches look lifeless, brittle, grey. Yet small buds begin to appear tiny at first, but undeniable. Those buds are proof that life has returned. You may not see the full bloom yet, but the signs are there. Heaven often confirms healing not just in body, but in mind. Suddenly, fear loses its power. Nightmares end. Hope feels natural again. You discover yourself planning for the future instead of bracing for the worst. These internal confirmations are as miraculous as physical ones, for they reveal the Spirit, restoring wholeness. Now it is your turn to respond. Comment the words, "Life returns," below. These two words are more than text. They are a declaration. By writing them, you affirm that you recognize the signs, that you believe heaven's decree, and that you choose to agree with it. Why is this important? Because your testimony matters. When you declare, life returns, you are not only acknowledging your own breakthrough, but also sowing courage into others who read it. They may still be waiting for their sign, and your boldness becomes their encouragement. Remember this truth: heaven's confirmation cannot be revoked. What God seals cannot be unsealed by fear, doubt, or circumstance. You may feel waves of resistance, but the verdict remains the same. You are not fighting to become healed. You are walking as one already declared healed. So notice the evidence. Celebrate the small shifts. Trust the larger ones to unfold. And above all, rest in the confidence that what heaven begins, it always brings to completion. So let your heart lean into gratitude. Gratitude is not just a polite thank you. It is the posture that says, I see what you have done, and I will not dismiss it. Gratitude turns small signs into loud testimonies. When you notice even the subtle evidence of healing, and you give thanks, you magnify it. What you honor increases in weight and presence in your life. Gratitude also stabilizes you when doubts try to return. There may be moments when old symptoms whisper, or when fear suggests the healing won't last. In those moments, gratitude becomes your weapon. Instead of agreeing with fear, you remember the evidence. You rehearse the goodness. You recount the small breakthroughs that prove heaven has touched you. This practice anchors your faith and silences lies. Think of sailors guided by the North Star. No matter how rough the waves or how dark the sky, that star remains steady. Gratitude functions the same way. It keeps you oriented toward God's faithfulness even when storms still stir around you. You don't lose your direction because you are fixed on what is unchanging: His word, His promise, His touch. So today, as heaven confirms your healing, let gratitude be your steady song. It does not have to be dramatic, even a whisper. Thank you, Lord, carries weight in eternity. Each grateful word is like a stone laid down, building an altar of remembrance for generations to see. Your testimony awakens others. What you are experiencing is not only for you. Healing is personal, but it is never private. When God touches your body, restores your peace, and renews your strength, it is so that light can spill over into the lives of those still sitting in shadow. Your testimony is a lamp that makes hidden paths visible. Think of a traveler walking through a forest at night. They stumble, unsure of where the trail ends. Suddenly, they see a lantern shining in the distance. That lantern does not remove the forest, but it gives direction, courage, and hope. In the same way, when you speak of what God has done for you, you become that lantern. People still in their night look up and realize if the light shines there, maybe it can shine here too. Scripture reminds us of this principle. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 16, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father. Your healing is not only a private relief, it is a public invitation. When others see you walking differently, smiling genuinely, carrying peace where anxiety once ruled, they will not merely admire you, they will glorify God. A chosen one once hid their story of recovery, fearing others would not believe it. But when they finally shared, they discovered something profound. Friends confessed they had been silently struggling with similar pain, and hearing the testimony gave them courage to believe for themselves. Silence isolates, but testimony gathers. Testimony says, you are not alone, and God still moves. And so I invite you, like and share this message. Imagine tossing a single seed into the wind. At first, it feels small, almost insignificant. Yet the wind carries it farther than your eyes can follow. Planting it in soil you will never see. Sharing your light works the same way. A simple action can land in someone else's darkness and birth life where you never step. Subscribe as well. Think of it as finding a well in the desert. Once you know where the water is, you return not because the desert has changed, but because the well sustains you. Subscribing ensures you never wander thirsty. It is a way of saying, I will remain connected to the source that refreshes me. And if your heart is moved, consider this: donation. Not as a price, not as a requirement, but as a gift that multiplies. Picture a lighthouse on the coast. Its beam warns ships of danger and guides them safely to harbor, but that light only shines as long as oil fills the lamp. Every gift is like a drop of oil, ensuring the beam never goes dark. When you give, you are not paying for light, you are fueling it, so countless ships find safe passage. Or imagine your donation as planting a tree. You may never sit under its shade yourself, but generations after you will. Someone else will find rest because you chose to plant. That is what generosity does. It stretches beyond your lifetime, your needs, your moment. It creates shelter for the weary who will come later. Hear this clearly. Whether you give or not, your healing is secure. Mercy is free. Grace is free. And the fire of God is not for sale. But donation is a way of saying, I want to keep this light alive, so others may find it too. It is a choice, a beautiful act of love that echoes beyond you. Your testimony is proof that miracles still happen. And when you share it, whether by word of mouth, by sharing this message, or by supporting the work, you become a witness. A witness is not someone who argues or persuades. A witness simply says, I saw it. I lived it. It is real. Imagine standing on a mountain peak after climbing for years. Behind you, others struggle up the path, weary and uncertain. You do not need to carry them, you only need to shout back. The summit is real. Keep climbing. It's worth it. That is the power of your testimony. So, as you feel this renewal flowing through you, remember, it is too radiant to be hidden. Healing is multiplied when shared. Your words, your actions, your choices all become seeds, lanterns, and lighthouses for those still searching. Like, share, subscribe, and if your heart leads, give. Do it not from pressure, but from joy. Do it because you know that what touched you can touch someone else. Do it because keeping the light burning is a holy act of generosity. Your testimony is rising. Your voice is needed. And your story will awaken others who thought they were forgotten. You are proof that heaven still moves. The enemy loses ground. For too long, darkness has whispered that it holds the advantage. It has tried to convince you that your sickness was permanent. That despair was your portion. that cycles of failure were your inheritance. But the truth is clearer than those lies. Every plot of the enemy is being dismantled. What once had permission in your life has now been stripped of authority. The ancient words recorded in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 37 declare, "No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." Notice the phrasing, not barely surviving, not simply enduring, but more than conquerors. That is not the language of defeat. It is the language of overwhelming victory. To be more than a conqueror means the battle is already settled before you even lift your weapon. The love of God secures your triumph. Think of a battlefield where soldiers once clashed violently. Dust, cries, and steel filled the air. But when the tide turns and the enemy flees, silence follows. That silence is not emptiness, it is proof of victory. Right now, in your spirit, that silence is spreading. The battles that once defined your days are losing their grip. The enemy has always feared your awakening. That is why attacks came against your health, your relationships, your peace. If he could keep you bound, he could silence the light you carry. But the moment you step into awareness of your identity, his hold collapses. Awareness itself is warfare. Consider the image of a storm on the sea. Waves rise. Winds howl. The boat rocks violently. Then suddenly, the command of Christ stills the waters. The storm does not fade slowly. It halts instantly at his voice. The enemy's grip is like that storm, loud, chaotic, convincing, but at the command of heaven, it vanishes in a moment. A chosen one once endured seasons of relentless attack. Every step forward seemed followed by 2 steps back. Illness came. Finances crumbled. Friendships dissolved. They began to believe their life was cursed. But in a single encounter with God's presence, they realized the truth. What looked like defeat was actually intimidation. The enemy had no true claim, only noise. Once they stood firm in faith, the noise ceased, and the ground once occupied by darkness became ground of testimony. This is the reality you now walk into. The ground that sickness tried to claim is being reclaimed for health. The ground despair tried to cover is being filled with joy. The ground fear tried to fence off is being opened wide for freedom. Every step you take is holy reclamation. What once belonged to darkness is returning to its rightful owner. Think of weeds overtaking a garden. Left unchecked, they choke the life out of the flowers. Yet, the moment the gardener begins pulling, the weeds lose their hold. Roots are ripped out. Space is cleared. And beauty flourishes again. The enemy's schemes are those weeds, and the gardener's hand is upon your life right now, clearing what tried to suffocate you. This is why your healing matters so deeply. It is not just relief from pain, it is eviction of darkness. Every symptom lifted, every fear silenced. Every chain broken is proof that the enemy is losing ground. What once mocked you is now silent. What once weighed you down is gone. Do not mistake lingering echoes for renewed attacks. Sometimes after a storm, thunder still rolls faintly in the distance. But the rain has ended. The thunder is not the storm returning, it is only the sound fading away. In the same way, do not fear if old thoughts or small pangs try to rise. They are echoes, not reality. The ground is already won. See yourself as a torchbearer walking across land once consumed by shadow. With each step, light spreads, and shadows retreat. The ground trembles because it remembers who truly owns it. That ownership has been restored to you, not by your strength, but by the one who declared you more than a conqueror. So, walk with confidence. The enemy no longer dictates your pace or your story. His grip is broken, his ground lost, his claims void. Every breath you take in freedom is a declaration of his defeat. The ground is yours again. Step into it boldly. So lift your eyes and see the horizon opening. What once looked like barriers are now gateways. The ashes of old battles become fertile soil for new beginnings. You are not standing in ruins, you are standing in reclaimed territory that will soon bloom with life. And as you move, remember, freedom is not fragile. The ground restored to you cannot be stolen again. Every step you take secures it further. Every breath you breathe declares ownership. This is your inheritance, not borrowed, not temporary, but éternel. The enemy has lost, and you will never walk bound again, marked by recovery. This is the season where you rise different from before, carrying evidence on your body and in your spirit that heaven has touched you. People may not fully understand it. Some will say, "You look stronger." Others will notice peace on your face. Still others may not have words, but they will feel something shift when you enter the room. That shift is the seal of recovery. The book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25 speaks with assurance. "I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten." And recovery is not partial. It does not give you back fragments and leave you with the rest missing. When God restores, He covers the years devoured, the strength stolen, the opportunities delayed. You are not coming out limping with scraps. You are walking out with more than you lost. Think of a broken bone. When it heals properly, the place of the break often becomes stronger than it was before. What once was weakness becomes reinforcement. In the same way, your scars are not evidence of defeat. They are reinforcements of strength. Recovery marks you with resilience. A chosen one once endured years of loss. Their business collapsed. Their health faltered. Relationships grew thin. They confessed they felt like a shadow of themselves, emptied out by trial. Yet when restoration came, it was more than a return. It was transformation. Their new season carried opportunities greater than the old. Their health not only stabilized, but grew stronger. Their voice carried more authority because of what they had survived. Recovery did not return them to who they were. It marked them as someone entirely new. Your life is walking that same pattern. What the locust of affliction consumed is being repaid. The years that felt wasted are now being redeemed. You will not just regain strength, you will carry wisdom, compassion, and authority you never had before. This is the mark of recovery, not only what comes back, but what is added. Picture a tapestry woven with bright threads. An accident tears a hole through the fabric, leaving it marred and weak. Yet when the weaver repairs it, he does not use dull thread. He chooses threads more vibrant, more radiant, so that the repaired place shines brighter than the rest. That is your recovery. The parts of your life torn by pain are being rewoven with colors more glorious than before. Recovery also carries recognition. People who once overlooked you will notice. Some may wonder how you endured. Others may be drawn by the quiet strength you radiate. The mark of recovery is not loud boasting, but undeniable evidence. Your very presence testifies that heaven restores. And here is your invitation to seal this moment. Comment the number 555 below. Why 555? Because in the rhythm of Scripture, the number 5 represents grace, repeated 3 times. It is the abundance of grace poured over every area of your life, body, mind, and spirit. By writing 555, you are declaring, I walk in multiplied grace. I carry the mark of recovery. It is not superstition, but a public declaration of agreement with what God is doing. Some will wonder why numbers matter, but throughout Scripture, numbers carried meaning. 12 tribes, 7 days, 40 years, each carried significance. When you type 555, you step into that prophetic rhythm, aligning yourself with heaven's language of restoration. Recovery may feel subtle at first. Perhaps you wake with energy you have not felt in years. Perhaps laughter comes more easily. Perhaps peace settles in your chest where anxiety used to sit. Do not dismiss these as small. They are the signs, the marks, that recovery is underway. Even your scars tell the story. Do not hide them. They are proof that you went through fire and emerged not consumed. They are like medals of survival, evidence that grace carried you. The world celebrates perfection, but heaven celebrates scars turned into testimonies. Recovery also extends beyond you. When you walk marked by restoration, your family notices. Friends who doubted begin to hope again. Strangers may even sense comfort around you without knowing why. Your recovery is not private. It becomes a well others can drink from. Think of an orchard once ravaged by storm. Branches broken, fruitlost, yet with care, it grows again. When harvest returns, it is not just for the owner of the orchard, but for everyone who eats of its fruit. Your recovery is the same. You will feed hope to those around you. So walk boldly in this. Do not apologize for being renewed. Do not minimize the miracle. Stand tall, carrying the mark of grace upon you. Where you once bent low under affliction, you now walk upright as living evidence of restoration. The seal of recovery is upon you. You are not the same as before. You are marked by grace, wrapped in resilience, and set apart to testify that God restores completely. Strength returns to your steps. Where weakness once stole your pace, now power begins to flow again. It may not feel like running yet, but even the smallest shift, the steadiness in your walk, the clarity in your mind, the calm in your chest is proof that renewal is at work. Strength is not only measured in muscles, it is measured in endurance, in the quiet ability to rise again each morning. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 29, verse 11, "The Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace." End quote. Strength and peace, two gifts intertwined. Strength without peace can turn into striving, exhausting you again. Peace without strength can leave you passive, unable to move. But when both arrive together, you are grounded and propelled. You move forward, not in frenzy, but in steady, sustainable power. Picture a field once dry from drought, cracked soil, drooping plants, brittle grass. Then rain falls, not in a destructive storm, but in a nourishing shower. The ground softens. Roots drink deep. And what once drooped begins to stand tall again. That is the image of strength returning to you. Not violent, not forced, but steady, nourishing, and lasting. There was once a chosen one who thought they had lost all stamina. Every task felt impossible, every step heavy. Yet when strength returned, it came in unexpected ways. At first, they noticed they could laugh again, then sleep peacefully, then rise without dread. Only later did they realize their body had followed their spirit's renewal. Strength did not roar in overnight. It arrived like dawn, gentle, gradual, but unstoppable. Your journey may mirror this. Do not despise small beginnings of strength. The day you carry groceries without pain, the hour you speak without fear, the moment you walk longer than before, these are markers of renewal. They are whispers of heaven saying, I am restoring you piece by piece. Think of an eagle learning to soar. At first, its wings flap heavily, awkwardly. The sky feels too vast, the wind too strong. But then, it learns to spread its wings and let the current carry it. Suddenly, the effort is less, yet the lift is greater. You are learning this rhythm again, not pushing in exhaustion, but leaning on the Spirit's wind, discovering a strength that carries you further with less strain. Strength also returns through joy. The book of Nehemiah tells us elsewhere that the joy of the Lord is your strength. Joy is not shallow happiness, but a deep well that sustains you. When joy bubbles up again after seasons of sorrow, that is strength manifesting. Your laughter is not weakness, it is weaponry against despair. Consider a violin string, too loose, and it makes no sound. Too tight, and it snaps. But tuned with care, it vibrates beautifully. Your life is being tuned again. The tension of trials has been real, but now the Master's hand is adjusting, balancing, bringing you into harmony where strength and peace meet. And as this strength flows back, notice how your perspective changes. What once felt like a mountain may now feel like a hill. What once left you trembling may now leave you smiling. Strength gives you new eyes. It does not remove every challenge, but it changes how you face them. A chosen one once said after their renewal, I realized my problem was the same size, but I had grown larger. That is the testimony of strength returning. The enemy did not shrink, but you expanded. And in that expansion, intimidation lost its power. So let each step you take now be a declaration. Strength is not a far-off promise. It is your present reality. Even if it feels like a trickle, it is a trickle that will grow into a river. Even if it feels like dawn, light, it is light that will only increase. Walk forward with calm confidence. The strength of the Lord is not fragile. It does not flicker in and out like a candle. It burns steady, like a fire, tended carefully. You are stepping into that fire, carrying it in your body, your voice, your spirit. Strength has returned, and peace has come with it. This is your portion, and it cannot be stolen. So breathe it in deeply, strength as steady as your heartbeat, peace as constant as your breath. What you feel now is not fleeting. It is the architecture of your new life being built within you. And as you rise tomorrow, you will notice again, strength multiplies, peace deepens, and your steps grow firmer The journey ahead is not endured in weakness, but embraced in renewed power. Healing extends beyond you. What is happening in your body, in your spirit, is not confined to you alone. The overflow of God's touch always spreads outward, like perfume poured into a room. The fragrance does not stay in the bottle, it fills every corner. When restoration enters your life, it begins to seep into your family, your household, even into generations yet to come, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 9. Know therefore that the Lord your God is God, He is the faithful God, keeping His covenant of love to 1,000 generations of those who love Him and keep His commandments. This promise is not small. It tells us that the work begun in you ripples far past your present moment. You are not only being healed for yourself, you are becoming a gate through which healing flows into your bloodline. Consider how a single river nourishes an entire valley. Villages draw water from it. Crops drink deeply. Trees root by its banks. When that river is pure, the whole valley flourishes. You are becoming that river. What God has done in you will water those around you. Peace that steadies, your heart will overflow into conversations with your children. Strength that steadies your body will inspire courage in those who once feared weakness. The restoration that touches you will echo in your lineage. There was once a chosen one who thought their struggles were isolated. They battled sickness, rejection, financial loss. They believed their pain was theirs alone. But when breakthrough came, they noticed something unexpected. Others in their family also began to rise. A cousin overcame addiction. A sibling found new purpose. A parent discovered renewed faith. What began with one life spread outward like ripples on water. Healing became contagious. This is the mystery of grace. It does not stay still. It moves. It multiplies. It refuses to be locked in a single heart. Think of light streaming through stained glass. The sun shines into one window, but the colors spill into the room, dancing on walls and floors. The design is no longer hidden, it becomes visible for all who step inside. That is your healing. God's light entered through you, but its colors will now illuminate those around you. And this is why your restoration matters more than you realize. You are not only living for yourself, your recovery is becoming a shield for your family. Your prayers are opening doors they could not open. Your obedience is planting seeds they will harvest. Even your unspoken choices carry weight. Choosing peace instead of anger breaks patterns that once ruled households. Choosing forgiveness instead of bitterness creates a different inheritance. Choosing hope instead of despair lays a foundation that generations after you will walk upon. Imagine a tree once stunted, branches broken, roots shallow. With care, it begins to grow again. Its roots deepen. Its branches stretch wide. Its fruit multiplies. Birds find shelter in it. Travelers find shade beneath it. Children climb it. That tree is you. Your healing is not only your fruit, it is also shelter for those around you. Do not underestimate the unseen influence. You may not notice it immediately, but the atmosphere of your home will change. Where tension once dominated, peace will reign. Where fear once echoed, laughter will rise. Where hopelessness once lingered, dreams will take root. Healing will weave itself quietly through your household until one day you look around and realize everything feels different. A chosen one once described their transformation as unlocking a door. For years, their family walked past that door, never able to open it. But when healing touched them, the door swung wide, and everyone walked through. That is what your healing is, a door opener. So carry this truth with reverence. What God has done in you is bigger than you. Your life is becoming a well others will drink from. Your story is becoming a map others will follow. Your breakthrough is becoming a legacy that outlives you. Healing extends beyond your body. It stretches to your family, your community, your generations. You are not just healed, you are appointed as a channel of restoration, and the ripple of what began in you will continue long after you. So let your healing become a story told around tables, a memory passed down in your family, a spark of hope whispered in dark nights. What God has done in you is not fragile, it is enduring, meant to carry weight for generations. And every step you take now is inheritance. Each act of peace, each moment of faith, each choice of love is a seed. Those seeds will rise as fruit, your children, your community, even strangers will taste. Your life becomes a garden where many find nourishment, appointed as a witness. That is who you are now, not a bystander to your own healing, not a silent receiver of grace, but a living testimony written in flesh and spirit. When heaven touches earth, it always appoints someone to carry the news, to shine the light, to say with their very being, "This is real. God still moves." You are that someone. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 1. Since we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off every hindrance and run with perseverance. Your race is not run in silence. Witnesses testify not with endless explanations, but with presence, with endurance, with truth. And you now carry that mantle, the chains that fell, the strength that returned, the fire that touched your body. These are not only private treasures, but public signs. Think of a lighthouse on a dark coast. It does not argue with the storm, it simply shines. Ships far away do not ask the lighthouse to prove itself. They only steer by its light. Your life has become that lighthouse. Those lost at sea will see your glow and know that safety is possible. And this is why your role as a witness is holy. To witness is to give courage. To witness is to carry light into another's night. To witness is to say, "I have seen God's hand, and you can too." End 1. So I invite you now, like and share this message. Imagine tossing bread into the river. At first, you think it will disappear. Yet the current carries it downstream to feed someone hungry you will never meet. Your small act can nourish a soul starving for hope. Sharing your witness is scattering bread into waters you cannot trace. Subscribe as well. Picture a caravan traveling through the desert, guided by wells along the way. Each return to a well refreshes the journey. Each sip makes the miles possible. Subscribing is choosing to keep returning to the well. It is not obligation, it is wisdom. Making sure your journey is always refreshed. And if your heart leans toward generosity, let it be expressed. Donate. Think of it as placing oil in the lamp of that lighthouse. The light has already shone for you, but your oil ensures it will not go out for others still searching in storms. Donation is not a transaction, it is participation. It is saying, I want this light to shine for more ships, not just my own. Or think of donation as music. An orchestra cannot play if instruments are left untuned, strings broken, drums neglected. Every gift you give is like tuning an instrument, keeping the harmony alive so the song of hope can continue to rise. Your generosity ensures the melody of healing does not fall silent. But hear this clearly. Whether you like, share, subscribe, or donate, your witness remains valid. Heaven has already appointed you. These actions are not duties but extensions, ways to let your witness travel further than your own voice can carry. They are invitations, not commands. A chosen one once described their testimony as planting lanterns on a path. They could not walk the whole road for others, but they could leave light along the way. That is what your actions do. Each like, each share, each gift is another lantern placed on someone else's journey. Your witness is not only spoken in words, but in every choice you make to shine. When you walk into a room with peace instead of fear, that is witness. When you forgive where bitterness once ruled, that is witness. When you radiate joy after years of sorrow, that is witness. So let it be natural, not forced. Shine without apology. Scatter bread without fear. Place lanterns without hesitation. The world may not understand at first, but someone will see the light, taste the bread, follow the lantern, and realize they are not alone. And comment the words, "Light shines below." Think of it as carving your name into a tree along the path. Others who pass will see it and realize, someone walked here before me, and they made it through. Your comment becomes a marker of hope, a quiet witness that light continues. This is the beauty of being appointed. Your life is no longer only about survival, it is about testimony. And that testimony will ripple far beyond what you can see. Peace settles into the deepest places. It is more than the absence of noise or conflict. It is the presence of God Himself resting upon you. You may have searched for it in fleeting distractions, in temporary reliefs, in the promises of people who could not keep them. But the kind of peace flowing into you now cannot be manufactured. It is divine, a gift that remains even when storms rage around you. As the Apostle writes in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 7, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." The peace of Christ is not fragile. It does not flicker like a candle in the wind. It is strong, unshakable, anchored in eternity. This peace is what allows you to sleep when others lie awake, to smile when others despair, to walk steady when the ground trembles beneath their feet. Think of a harbor where waves crash violently against the outer walls. Out in the open sea, ships are tossed and nearly overturned. But within the harbor's embrace, waters are calm, and sailors can rest. That harbor is the peace of Christ. The storms outside may not vanish immediately, but within His presence, your soul rests steady. A chosen one once lived with relentless anxiety. Each day was a storm in their chest, heart racing, thoughts spinning, breath shallow. Nothing they tried seemed to help. But one night, as they whispered a simple prayer, they felt a stillness descend. It was as if someone had placed a hand gently on their heart and quieted the chaos. That night they slept deeply for the first time in years. The storm outside remained, but the storm inside was silenced. Peace does not mean an escape from reality. It means authority over reality. It allows you to look at challenges without trembling, to hear bad news without unraveling, to face the unknown without terror. Peace equips you to live fully, not half-present, not consumed by fear, but steady and free. Picture a mountain lake at dawn. The water reflects the sky like glass, perfectly still. Birds dip into its surface, leaving ripples that vanish almost immediately. That image is what your inner life is becoming: calm, steady, reflective of heaven's light. Peace also brings clarity. When noise dominates, decisions feel impossible. Fear clouds judgment, and even small choices feel overwhelming. But when peace fills your heart, perspective clears. You begin to see with wisdom instead of panic. You realize not every battle requires your energy. Not every voice deserves your attention. Peace is not only comfort, it is strategy. Some may ask, how do I know if this peace is real? The answer is in its endurance. Worldly calm fades when circumstances change, but divine peace remains even when life shakes. It is the anchor in the storm, the steady rhythm beneath chaos, the assurance that you are held. Think of a tree rooted deeply by a river. Winds may shake its branches, storms may bend its trunk, but because its roots drink from a constant source, it does not fall. Your peace is rooted in the eternal stream of God's presence. Circumstances may sway you, but they cannot uproot you. This peace is also contagious. Others will sense it when they are near you. They may not have words, but they will feel calmer in your presence, safer in your company. Without trying, you will carry an atmosphere that reminds others of God's nearness. That is the gift of peace. It not only blesses you, but also flows outward. A chosen one once shared that after their healing, friends began to remark, "Something feels different about you. I don't know what it is, but when I'm around you, I feel lighter." That difference was peace. It had settled so deeply in them that it became a covering for others. So allow peace to dwell richly. Do not rush it. Do not dismiss it as fragile. Welcome it as your inheritance. It is not temporary relief, but permanent presence. The same Christ who spoke, "Peace, be still," to the storm speaks it to your soul. Now, let it soak into every corner of your being, into your thoughts, into your breath, into your very bones. This is not a passing moment. It is a lasting mark. You are no longer defined by anxiety or unrest. You are defined by the peace of God that surpasses all understanding. Walk with it. Rest in it. Live from it. The world may not comprehend it, but they will see it in you. And in that, your life becomes proof that peace is not a concept, it is a person. And He dwells with you. Glory crowns your journey. Every trial endured, every tear shed, every night spent wondering if dawn would come, all of it has led to this place. You stand not as someone crushed by affliction, but as one elevated by it. What once pressed you down has now been transformed into the very platform that lifts you higher. As written in the second book of Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Oh, glory is not the absence of trouble. It is what trouble produces when surrendered to God. The weight you carried was not wasted. It has been exchanged for a greater weight, the weight of glory. This glory is not heavy with sorrow, but with honor, radiance, and eternal significance. Think of a diamond. For centuries, it rests hidden beneath earth, pressed by unimaginable weight, shaped in secret. To the eye above ground, it is invisible, forgotten, yet in time it is uncovered, cut, polished, and revealed to shine with breathtaking brilliance. That is what your life has become. Pressure did not destroy you. It prepared you. Hidden years did not erase your value. They multiplied it. Now the brilliance of glory shines through you. Glory is not something you wear like a cloak, only for yourself. It is a light that spills into every space you enter. When you walk into a room, peace follows. When you speak, others feel hope stirring. When you act, your steps carry authority. This is the evidence of glory, your life reflecting the presence of God in ways undeniable. A chosen one once lived in obscurity. They endured suffering no one saw, prayed prayers no one heard, and walked through trials no one applauded. For years, it seemed their story would remain hidden. But when glory crowned them, everything shifted. They did not become arrogant. They became radiant. People around them began to testify. Something shines from them that no darkness can quench. That is what glory does. It marks you beyond recognition, and it cannot be faked. Consider the image of a sunrise. At first, the horizon glows faintly, almost fragile. Then the light grows, pushing darkness back, painting the sky with colors too rich for words. That is glory. It does not arrive timidly. It expands, overtakes, transforms. And no matter how long the night, the sunrise always wins. Glory also carries responsibility. It is not given so you can boast, but so you can serve. A crown is not only for honor, it is for leadership. Your glory positions you to lift others, to guide them, to remind them that their story, too, can turn. Glory is not selfish, it is generous. Think of a torchbearer in a relay. They run with fire, not to keep it for themselves, but to pass it on. In the same way, your glory is meant to ignite others, your healing, your strength, your peace. All of it is a flame to awaken hope in those still running in shadows. And yet, glory is also deeply personal. It restores dignity where shame once reigned. It replaces the voice of accusation with affirmation. It silences the memory of rejection with the truth of divine acceptance. When glory crowns you, you finally see yourself as heaven always has, chosen, radiant, unstoppable. Imagine a field of ashes after fire, blackened ground, silence heavy in the air. Then, tender shoots begin to rise green, alive, unstoppable. Soon the field bursts into bloom, more vibrant than before the fire. That is your story. Ashes have given way to beauty, despair to joy, mourning to dancing. Glory is the exchange that transforms ruins into gardens. Do not shrink back from this moment. Do not minimize it as coincidence. Stand tall. This is not arrogance, this is alignment. Glory does not belong to you, it flows through you. But by carrying it boldly, you honor the one who crowned you with it. So walk now as one crowned. Let the radiance of God's glory shine from your face. from your words, from your very presence. Let it mark you so fully that even those who doubted cannot deny it. Your troubles were momentary, but your glory is eternal. This is not the end of your story, it is the unveiling. You step forward now, not into obscurity, but into brilliance, not into defeat, but into triumph, not into silence, but into the song of glory that will echo into eternity. The journey has brought you here, not by chance, but by divine design. You have walked through fire, felt chains break, received peace, and now you stand crowned in glory. What rests on you is not fleeting encouragement, it is eternal truth. You are God's chosen one, healed, renewed, and marked for more. But this light is not meant to be hidden. Like and share this message, not as routine, but as a torch lifted high. Each act is like setting another lantern along a dark road. Someone lost in the night may find their way home because of your spark. Subscribe as you would return to a spring in the desert. When you discover living water, you do not leave thirsty again, you come back, filling your jar each time. Subscribing keeps you close to the flow, always refreshed for the journey ahead. And leave your mark, comment the words, "I carry glory," below. It is like carving your testimony into stone for others to read. Long after your words fade from memory, your declaration will stand as a signpost for someone who needs courage to keep walking. Finally, if your heart stirs, donate, not as payment, but as pouring oil into a lamp. The flame has burned for you. Your gift ensures it shines for those still stumbling in shadows. Or see it as planting a tree. You may never sit beneath its shade, but weary travelers, after you will find rest there. Your healing is secure, your peace unshaken, your glory eternal. Now, let your life shine as a witness. May your light never be hidden, and may hope spread wherever your steps fall.